parotid gland right here. Here's the ear. This is immediately below the ear. Right there. Anterior to that, and having a vein run over the surface of it, is going to be submandibular. Notice the vein? Okay. Then from there, sublingual is going to be right here. It's a more elongated salivary gland. The majority of the mucus is produced by the submandibular, about 70%. The reason for the parotid is for you to be able to secrete something known as amylase to help you break down carbohydrates or initiate the breakdown of carbohydrates. So if you chew a wad of crackers, I think they probably had you do this in general science. They may have had you chew crackers for a while, like a couple minutes. You'd start to have them start to taste sweet in your mouth. And that's because of the action of the amylase. So the amylase was working if they started to turn sweet, because now you converted a starch to a sugar. Okay, so those are the salivary glands. The thyroid gland is right next to the internal jugular. I'll come around and help you with it. So there's a gland right there, relatively small. That's the thyroid gland. The thyroid cartilage is right here. Go below thyroid, you'll get cricoid. Cricoid is the complete ring. Then we get the trachea, which is really kind of cool. Now, here, this piece is thymus gland. This is not a young cat. So the thymus gland is not very big. Then we can see, and I don't want you to dissect it out, but you might be able to see where things subdivide. This is the area where we would normally tag parietal pleura. We could also tag parietal pleura here because this is the diaphragm.
Would you accept diaphragm as a
Yeah. Because again, it's a little bit harder sometimes to see. Now, these are the lobes of your lung. You've also got some lobes that are inferior. So don't worry about how many. This is a cat after all, this is not you. You're going to have 2 on the left and 3 on the right. And then each will subdivide into its different lobules. This is the heart in its pericardial sac. You can actually see quite nicely the central tendon of the diaphragm. That's the clear portion right there. This thing is the inferior vena cava. There are only 3 things that are going to infiltrate the diaphragm. The inferior vena cava, the aorta, going from descending aorta to abdominal aorta, and the esophagus. Obviously, the esophagus has to go there as well. Now, once I lift up and flap it back, the first thing you'll see is the liver. Again, they have a lot of lobes of the liver. And old lady, she's pregnant. The gallbladder would be right here. This is the greater omentum. The stomach is this J-shaped pouch. The top part is known as the fundus. Then there's a body, then there's an antrum. At the end of the stomach, right there, is something known as the pyloric valve. The pyloric valve means gatekeeper. So what it's going to do is squirt the food into the first part of the small intestine, which is the duodenum. Once we go to the ileum, you'll know duodenum because the duodenum is always going to have the pancreas with it. If I see pancreas, which is one of the things that I didn't put on there, and I should have, I apologize. So add pancreas. The pancreas is this structure right here, and you'll see that it's going to go all the way over to the side. Now, we have, this is pancreas right here. The pancreas is going to be shaped like a 7 or an L, depends on how you look at it. Can you see the first part of the duodenum? So here's my L or my 7. Amy's seeing it as a 7. The rest of you might be seeing it as an L. But the tube on the outside is the duodenum. Once I run out of pancreas, and you can start to see my glove there, then I would be on the jejunum. From the jejunum, we would then go to the ileum, which is this portion. From the ileum, you would then go past the ileocecal valve here to the cecum. From the cecum to the colon. This is mesocolon because it's hanging on to the pooping pipe. Okay? Right. This is mesentery proper. Notice it's very clear, it's very webby, it's very lacy. So this is mesentery proper. My lesser, if this is my greater omentum, my lesser omentum is right between, it's right in here, between the liver and the stomach. So greater omentum on the greater curvature, lesser omentum in the lesser curvature of the stomach. Make sense? Now, one other thing that's not associated is this bad boy. This is the spleen. It's a relatively large spleen comparatively to the thymus, unless I'm mistaking the age of the cat. It's large for what it is. Okay. These are the fetuses in the horns of uterus. So we're not going to touch this. We're just going to leave them there. The lining of this wall would be the parietal peritoneum. The kidney, you can see tucked over here. That's one. The other kidney is still in its fat pad, right there. So obviously 2 kidneys, and directly above that, you're going to find the adrenal lumbar vein and the adrenal gland. So in your list of glands, add pancreas and spleen. Spleen has nothing to do with digestion, but it does have everything to do with having viable blood cells. In a child, you cannot remove the spleen. In an adult, you can. Okay. Now what I need you to do is, while I'm dissecting out